I'm Heyzeus, and in this video, we're going to be talking about the day that Valve changed skins forever. Sponsored by Skinport, the easy-to-use skins marketplace where you can sell your skins for real cash. More about them later. So, if you're familiar with trade-ups, you'll probably be aware that there is an exploit that you can use to effectively rig the outcome in your favour. It's very lucrative. It was even more lucrative during the old days before many people knew about it. But it's also an actual glitch. It only exists by accident, and it's because trade-ups don't work the way that Valve initially intended anymore. Years ago, they made a small change, basically as an afterthought, and on top of creating this glitch, it also happened to change skins forever as well. The market as we know it today probably wouldn't be recognisable without this change, and honestly, we're in a much better place as a result, and this video is going to dive in and take a look. So, the trade-up contract has always been a pretty big part of CSGO. It might seem like this pretty mundane thing, just a crafting feature in the game, but I'll put it this way. A couple of months ago, Anomaly uploaded a video of some trade-up contracts and it got 1.2 million views. And if you want to check out Sparkle's channel too, I think you'll find that there's plenty of people clicking on trade-up videos there as well. In fact, I would actually go as far as saying that there is probably more interest in trade-up videos on YouTube than there is in videos about actual CSGO gameplay. But during the early days of CSGO, the trade-up contract was a very different beast. And I'm not talking about the change in the UI either, as much as I really miss the old UI. Good night, sweet prince. First of all, it wasn't called a trade-up contract, it was called an arm steal contract, which only worked on the arm steal case, which, as it happens, also isn't called the arm steal case anymore, it's called the CSGO weapon case 1 instead. Want to use it with these other collections, which were most of the CSGO skins available at the time? Forget it, not happening. Want to use it with StatTrak weapons from the arm steal case? Forget it, not happening either. Now, it's likely that this was just an experimental phase because it only took a week for it to be expanded to all the other skins in the game, but it came with a catch. You see, one of the really common things people like to do with trade-ups is to mix up skins from different collections. So, for example, here is Sparkles mixing up skins from several collections trying to trade up for a StatTrak AK Fire Serpent. Now, there are several reasons for this. Firstly, it just makes things a lot more exciting. It means it's possible for a single trade-up to have a lot more possible outcomes, which is, more interesting. But also, if you're doing it right, it generally makes things a lot cheaper. For example, here is some footage of me mixing up collections to try and get a Desert Eagle Blaze. This trade-up is set up to deliberately make the contract as cheap and effective as possible, and it worked a treat. But this is the catch. For the first 8 months of the trade-up contract's existence, you couldn't do this. Trade-up contracts had to be 10 skins from the same collection. You couldn't mix anything. This is impossible. This is impossible, and this is impossible too. You had to use 10 skins from the same collection, like you can see Miss Harvey doing here all the way back in 2013. And it might not seem like a big deal, but let's just go back to my trade-up contract. As you can see, there is a snake camo, that's where the blaze comes from, and there's also 9 anodized navies. They're being used as filler to make the contract cheaper. Now, just consider these anodized navies. It's an incredibly boring skin. No one would ever voluntarily use one if they had a better option. In fact, the only use for it is to literally be used as filler in trade-ups to try and get skins from other collections, like I'm doing here to try and get a Desert Eagle Blaze. And because the anodized navy is constantly being dropped to people in games, so there's more and more of them being created all the time, without trade-ups like this, the anodized navy and pretty much all the other skins in its collection, for that matter, would be pretty much worthless. Now, if we look at the snake camo, we've got the opposite problem. The way this trade-up is set up, I'm getting a blaze 1 in every 12 attempts, so I need 12 snake camos for every blaze I end up getting. This is, by the way, because I'm exploiting the trade-up glitch, which I'll talk more about in a bit. But if I couldn't mix collections like this, if I was forced to use 10 snake camos in a trade-up contract, I'd need 30 snake camos for every blaze I get. In other words, a blaze would suddenly become more than twice as expensive to trade up for. So, in other words, being able to mix up skins from different collections makes the cheaper skins actually worth something because you can use them as filler in trade-ups, and it also makes nicer skins more common and more affordable, which I think is actually better for the game. Things are already so expensive as it is, and if you couldn't mix skins from different collections and trade-ups, it'd be a lot worse. But of course, when Valve first introduced the trade-up contract, you couldn't mix skins from different collections. The trade-up had to be 10 skins from the same collection. But 9 months after the trade-up contract first came out, Valve released an update that fixed this. On the 14th of May 2014, they finally allowed you to mix collections, an update that changed skins forever. Now, the impact of this update is really a lot bigger than my example of the Desert Eagle Blaze makes it sound like. So for one, you know how I mentioned that trade-ups are a really big thing on YouTube, and also how mixing collections makes trade-ups more interesting? Well, frankly, if you couldn't mix collections, trade-up videos would be crap. Pretty much every popular trade-up video out there relies on mixing this stuff. So, you know those high-risk Dragon Lore trade-ups people do? They rely on mixing collections. You know those high-risk Fire Serpent trade-up videos? They rely on mixing collections too. Those old-school trade-ups Anomaly was doing? Well, the skins on the thumbnail at least relied on mixing collections. The only exception really is the AK Scar Pattern video Anomaly did. So there's this whole genre of videos driving all this interest in CSGO, and none of it would be possible if it wasn't for this update. And on top of that, some skins are basically impossible to trade up for if you can't mix collections. The factory new Emerald Dragon, for example, is impossible to get unless you mix collections. The factory new AK Red Laminate is also impossible to get unless you mix collections, and the factory new Nuclear Hazard skins are also impossible to get unless you mix collections. So these skins would be miles rarer if this update had never happened. And then there's the trade-up glitch I mentioned earlier. Now, this glitch really exacerbated the impact of this update. It provides an extra reason for people to mix skins from different collections, and it's really helped with this making cheap skins more expensive and making more expensive skins cheaper business. Basically, the trade-up contract likes certain skins more. If you have more possible outcomes in your collection, it'll prioritize you. So, going back to the Blaze contract I've been using as an example, the Snake Camo has 3 possible outcomes, while the Anodized Navies only have 1. So the Snake Camo is basically weighted 3 times more heavily, so you end up with a 1/4 chance of getting a skin from the Snake Camo's collection. That's basically how I'm rigging things to increase my chances of getting a Blaze with this trade-up contract, and I think this update explains why this happens. Basically, because trade-ups were only designed to be used with one collection at the time, when Valve changed that and allowed you to mix collections, I don't think the code determining probability was updated properly, and it sort of created this glitch. It's a very cool glitch, I'm very happy it exists, but I think it's really a byproduct of Valve being lazy and just not caring enough to code the trade-up contract properly. Funny that, but either way, it's also had a huge impact. It's made a lot of useless skins extremely useful, and a lot of rare skins miles cheaper. It's changed skins forever, and in a lot of respects, it can all be traced back to a single, unremarkable update during the early days of CSGO. And before I go, I want to mention one last thing. People forget this now, but for a long time, you couldn't trade up StatTrak skins. In fact, Valve didn't let people trade them up until the 31st of March 2015, and people also forget that it caused carnage on the market. A lot of crap tier skins skyrocketed in price because you could actually trade them up for something useful. And on the other side of the equation, a lot of really nice StatTrak skins fell because people started trading up for them. And I really don't understand why you couldn't trade up StatTrak skins from the beginning, or why it took so long for Valve to enable it, but it definitely falls into the category of something that changed skins forever, which is why I'm mentioning it here. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, subscribe, massively appreciated. And a big thank you to Skinport for sponsoring this channel. Skinport, formerly known as SkinBay, it's the same site. All that's changed is the name, is a skins marketplace and cash out site. It's safe, convenient, easy to use. It's got a super competitive sales fee of 5% if you put skinport.com in your username, a really low fee if you're looking to sell your skins. If you're looking to buy instead, it's got a ton of great deals with over 100,000 CSGO skins listed, as well as easy to use deposit and withdrawal options. Awesome site, check it out, link is in the description. Anyway, that's it from me. As always, trust the numbers, not your guts. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.